Hi there. Welcome back to the Business of Success. My name is Parul Bhandari and I'm your host. I wanted to take a moment and just celebrate that we've hit a milestone that I had only dreamed of. We have launched 5 episodes of the Business of Success, all focused on unique ways of helping businesses build more sustainable and more intentional growth from the inside out. I wanted to take a moment and celebrate these 5 episodes and give you a little taste of each episode in case you missed them. Episode 1 was with my good friend, Priya Batija, who is the CEO of New Health. Priya focuses all of her energy and efforts on helping organizations, hospitals, and other workplaces better designed for the women that work in them. She's not only a women's health advocate, but she's also a menopause advocate. She's a prolific speaker, and she helps share some of the real data about what's happening in our workplaces. I did not know that nearly 75 million women are in some stage of menopause every single year that they work. That means right now, nearly 1/4 of the US population is in one stage of menopause or another. That number was staggering to me, and it's also so interesting how few businesses have really taken on initiatives to help drive employee success. How Priya and I got connected to talk about this, not only menopause health, but also maternal health and other women's health issues, is that we've started to hear about women leaving the workplace. Nearly 455,000 women left the workplace in 2025, according to Catalyst. If those numbers continue, and this doesn't mean women are leaving forever, but they might be pivoting to other initiatives. But if these numbers continue, our workplaces will look very different. Without women leaders in our workplaces, we're essentially designing homogenized workplaces without diversity of thought or diversity of action. I can fully relate to the reasons that many women leave the workplace, such as childcare, right? Childcare is very expensive in the United States, and it's not something that many workplaces cover. But if women leave the workplace for childcare because they can't support their families, we lose women. We lose women who are mothers and parents, and we lose that perspective. Imagine being a company, that serves women. To not have that perspective in your company, you are losing out on so much great knowledge retention and knowledge management. Let's talk about episode 2 now. I take it a little bit further in episode 2, talking about drivers of success from the inside of the business, namely employees, employee experiences, and customer experiences. Priya and I had outlined employee experiences for women's health, and there are more. Designing for employee experiences such as professional development can not only equip you with a more robust and more sustainable workforce, but can also drive efficiency and productivity. In the age of AI, the humans you have are going to be taking on new tasks, taking on new tooling, and you want them to be their best. So that will require investment and it will require change management. Let's talk a little bit about customers, right? Customers who get value from your product are successful. And when you invest in their success, you not only create people that are champions, you create advocates, and from those advocates, you create referrals. It's the ultimate organic revenue driver and something that is just not worth ignoring anymore. Another area not worth ignoring is what we get into in episode 3. In that episode, I talked to Princess Castleberry of Castleberry Global. Her recent book, The Truth is in the Triggers, digs into where many companies are going to burn their growth because their leaders are burnt out. Imagine if your whole workforce is overextended. Capacity is in crisis, as Princess has told us. Do you think your workforce is its most productive? No. So Princess's tools are a little different though. They're focused on the individual, right? Helping the individual and helping the leaders gain control of the triggers that might be causing them to not only go into situations like toxic drive, but might also cause them to actually fall into decline and lose productivity and lose the ability to make good decisions. If you can imagine a future of our businesses and our leaders working the way that they're working today to end of one, burning the candle on both ends, you can imagine we're on a path that can lead to business loss. Now, there's another thing that's happening with leaders. In episode 4, I talked to Mike Lemon, who's actually an experienced leader, people manager, who has decided to take a pivot in his career. Interestingly, I wrote about this phenomenon, which I called downshifting, and I focused on women who are downshifting their careers, moving out of leadership positions back to ICs because they love the work that they do, but they simply couldn't sustain doing leadership for one reason or another. And interestingly, Mike also wrote a similar article. based on his experience. Mike outlines how hiring managers and recruiting teams can start to think differently about experienced leaders coming into IC roles or individual contributor roles. He also talks about the benefits, not only for employee pools, but for customers. So leaders, imagine if you could put yourself into the shoes of a CSM with your most strategic customer. You can't, right? You can't be there. You can't do it all. But if you hired a former leader into that strategic role, maybe you could. Maybe there's a way to level up your teams by bringing in people who have experience and not shying away from the fact that they were a former leader coming into an IC role. There is no shame in downshifting. There's only gain. Last but not least, let's talk about another crisis for leadership, right? We know that there's a capacity issue, thanks to Princess and thanks to our episode 3. But how do we get messages across? How do we get those crucial messages to leaders that are literally at capacity or beyond? Well, Andrea Bumstead from CS Impact has actually invented something that's really unique. It's a way for businesses to show their value to their customers in 15 minutes. She calls it the 15-minute QBR, which stands for quarterly business review, but it could be any kind of a business review, right? It could be an annual business review, a biannual one, or a quarterly one. And the whole point of it is that you get 15 minutes with an executive, 15 good minutes with them, and you can deliver the results and the value that you're bringing to the table. Andrea outlines her approach and how she trains first to ensure that everybody who uses her tools is really enabled. Why am I doing this recap, right? And why share what we've covered in episodes 1 through 5? To me, it's outlining a bit of a design of what we have shown you and what you can expect to see in this podcast. We are showing you ways that you as an employer can better set up employee experiences, customer experiences, and future growth opportunities. We're also showing you how you as a leader or a future leader can lean into the work that serves you and how to avoid the triggers that don't. We also are showing you how there are really cool strategic avenues for growth, such as hiring experienced former leaders into IC roles that can give you the breadth of what you need without having to break the bank. And we're also showing you how you can maximize the time that you get with your leaders to make sure that you're delivering value every time. I'm looking ahead and we have a lot of cool things coming up. So I want to preview a bit of it for you so that you can get a sense of what to expect on the business of success and how we are crafting these stories. We are talking about recruiting, how recruiting right can lead to longer term employee retention and sustainability of your business. We're talking about another type of employee caretaking, namely aging parents, and how employers can better sustain their employee groups that have aging parents and might need to be caretakers for them. We are talking about how other functions are recognizing that the revenue you achieve at the front end of the bow tie just isn't enough, and the revenue that you achieve on the other side of the bow tie is exponential. So I'm talking to folks like a marketing leader and somebody who advocates for marketing leaders to think bigger than just that initial sale. I'm talking to HR leaders who are incubating ideas, who are trying new methods to build capability within their organizations and championing employee success with a key focus on retention. And I'm talking to another author group who's helping leaders navigate the complex world of AI, enablement, and actually implementing successfully. There's a lot to cover in this season, and we are going to dig into a lot of meaty topics. So I just wanted to celebrate where we've been and where we're going, and to say thank you for being a part of this journey. Thanks for listening to The Business of Success. If today's conversation sparked a new way of thinking about growth, value, talent, leadership, don't forget to follow along and share this episode with someone who is building something meaningful. This podcast is proudly sponsored by Customer X Success, which is helping organizations design customer value, build better and higher impact teams, and turn success into a growth strategy. You can learn more about Customer X Success at www.customerxsuccess.com. I'm Parul Bhandari, and this is The Business of Success, where success is built, not just chased. Until next time, see you soon.